Today we're going to discuss, which you knew this was coming, but Biden's SEC, I call them the China-loving communists, is coming for your investment account. Literally. They're going to make changes that are basically going to boot out the average investor, and I'm going to explain why. But new regulations from Biden's SEC is literally going to mess with retail investing as we know it. And this is all against the backdrop of historically high levels of retail investor participation, specifically in the pandemic, when we had a lot of youth participating, especially through apps like Robinhood and such. Democrat regulators in Washington, they're going to do their best to do this. When it comes to free markets and consumer choice, they just can't stand it. And they love getting in the way. And this time, they're coming for the brokerage account. SEC Chair Gary Gensler, which we can really get into talking about this guy. He is a major old Goldman Sachs guy. He's a banker. He's the one behind all the corrupt derivative and the manipulation of precious metal, which don't worry, the time is coming. I would highly recommend getting it if you have not. But he's rolled out a set of extremely far-reaching and experimental reforms that, if they actually make it final, which it sounds like they're going to do, would fundamentally change the way that we, the retail investor, and stock trades are handled. And it's going to include things like prescriptive government mandates. Think about that one. They're getting involved in everything. We've got to stop this government overreach. They're going to start dictating where trades can be done, who can execute the trades, and at what price. I'm sorry, what could go wrong, right? Never mind that the data that's backed by individual investors' real-life experiences in the market, everyday market, show that these retail investors have never had it better. It really has been a much more fluid and easier system than it has ever been before. Over the past few years, millions of Americans, and a lot of them younger and more diverse, have opened up brokerage accounts. They're using mobile phones, and they started investing at very low cost using strategies they believe are best for them and their family. I mean, don't you think we have a right to control our investments without being mandated to? I'm stunned. Now, I get fraud, but not mandating this level. But the question is, why the sudden rush by the SEC to upend and start micromanaging a market that has already been working and working very well for us? And you got to know, this is at the core. Gensler, he's one of those 100 millionaires, 65-year-old former Goldman Sachs guy. He was a partner there. He is the banker of bankers, and this is why you're going to find out why he's doing this. But he appears to be motivated, they say, by the view that Main Street America simply, these people simply are not capable of choosing how they should invest their own money, and that they need the government to protect them from themselves. And I remember I spoke about, it was in the Federal Registry back with Obama, that they actually spoke and put it in that they were going to do that. They didn't do it, but it shows you they're thinking about it. And this is an example that back in the collapse of 2008, Obama came out with the Federal Registry and said that the government would take the IRA accounts of individuals and then give them a second-tier Social Security payment. And he said it in a way that he's trying to protect the mainstream from the stock market woes. Like, we don't know what we're doing, when obviously we do lose money. It's not the point. The point is we make the choice. But they didn't do that. But you know it's coming because it's on their mind. One day IRAs will be taken by the government and you'll receive a second monthly payment just like you would Social Security. And if you like that idea, fine. If you don't, you better think about getting out and going into precious metal. One of the other big motivators, I think, it really coming down to it is a lot of people remember that are in the stock market, remember things like GameStop and the AMC movie theaters. There are a lot of activist investors who short a lot of companies. They basically try to ruin the company by shorting the stock. Well, a lot of average people and young people, and by the way, incredibly intelligent young people, were sticking it to the bankers. They were making a fortune by going against the grain. They were looking for stocks that were heavily overly shorted, and they were going in mass droves, and they were buying up the stocks, forcing those who had the short positions to lose billions of dollars. And I don't know if many of you remember that, but if you do, you'll know where I'm going with this, because that, I believe, is the real reason that we, the people, are actually outsmarting the rigged against you market system. And we're starting to stick it to the activists, hedge funds, and bankers. And oh no, they can't have that. So under this guise of enhancing competition to execute retail investors' trades on an order-by-order basis, Gensler's rules would attack the self-directed brokerage model. Millions of investors use that model. And by introducing this significant frictions into the stock market trading, compressing brokerage revenues, and making brokerage platforms less attractive to retail investors, you can see the game plan. The rule would take an extraordinary step of centralizing the execution of retail trades. And what it's mainly, many are saying, will basically slow it down, make it far more complicated, and far more expensive auctions that'll be ran by, get this, quasi-governmental exchanges. You want to talk about rigged against you, get them in the middle of it, right? Just like the markets used to work back in 1975. Trust the government, they say. Yeah, how well did Obamacare work out doing that? How well is it working out for them in Ohio with that train derailment and all the toxicity? I mean, we can go on and on with that complaint, right? Gensler's campaign against self-directed brokerages and retail investors is evident that extreme reforms is expected to roll out later this year would crack down on the ability of brokers to communicate with their customers, even using digital engagement practices that all industries are doing. They're going to make it so difficult for this communication to take place, they're going to shut down the retail investing platform. They don't want you, the average we the people person, outsmarting the hedge funds and the banks. The damage that the SEC's overreach rule proposals will do to the stock market and retail investors is likely to be extraordinary and long-lasting. If Gensler gets his way, if the SEC get their way, the stock market is going to be less competitive, slower, more confusing, and more expensive for we the people. Brokers and other financial providers who actually has revenue and focus on revenue from this will be trimmed or eliminated by government, who will likely respond by passing costs along to customers and offering fewer innovative, low-cost products. They're going to reduce our ability to make money in the market. My guess is, in the end, many investors will just simply decide not to do it. It won't be worth the trouble or the cost to invest, and they'll leave the market altogether. Basically, the SEC will redline them from participating in America's future. This would absolutely be an American tragedy. And this is exactly what big government authors. It's we the people. We have got to stop the government intrusion. We have got to stop the ability. Bottom line is the government is supposed to be working for us, not against us. We, the people, were free. That's the whole concept of the patriot movement. We were free. America, we are free. We were free to move from A to B. Look at the unbelievable overreach that the government is doing. What they try, even Biden, man, that sloppy Joe is something else. And I don't really believe it's him. Obviously, it's his communist handlers. But the point is, I remember during the pandemic where he was even talking about keeping people from driving interstate travel to go from one state to another. They have no right to do that. They were going to tell people, well, they did, and many churches actually obliged, which they should not have. The government forced churches to close. Nobody should have listened. Only a handful of brave people actually did, and now thousands and thousands of churches will never reopen. They don't have a right to tell us to wear a mask. They didn't have a right to mandate we stay at home. I get the emergency if it was a true pandemic. But you know and I know this was a big load of BS. And another one is coming soon, come 2024, in my opinion, once they sign that UN pandemic treaty. And then you put those yahoos at the World Economic Forum and World Health Organization literally in sovereign control of we the people. We the people are free. They don't have a right to tell us where we can go and what we can do. And now they're coming after our brokerage accounts. They're going to try to keep us from having the ability to further our family and our inheritance to our children's children. They just keep coming. It's not their job, their right, or their responsibility. Individually, we are responsible for our future, our wealth, and our health. It is my choice. And by the way, whatever happened to HIPAA laws? All I know is these people are not good. They're bankers, they're communists, and they don't like you. They want us to be in regions. I'm telling you, it's coming. If they get their way, they're going to have us in regions like Hunger Games. If you haven't seen that movie, you better. That's the goal. Hunger Games. All I can do is stress the importance. Never accept a digital dollar. Do not use central bank digital currency or a digital dollar. Absolutely shame anyone who talks about it. The youth especially, shame them. We are going to be a surveillance state, slave state, if we allow this to continue. And it's time for the people to say, enough rigging against us, and just say no. So until next time, God bless you.
With all of the recent changes in the political and financial markets, there has never been a better time than right now to invest in silver and gold. When governments simply print billions of dollars in paper money in hopes of solving financial shortfalls, you know that it is time to buy and hold assets of true and lasting value. Free information is available to you right now by calling 888-747-3309. Whether you are a new investor or you're interested in preserving the value of your retirement accounts, we make it easy for you to make smart decisions for your financial future. The specialists at Cornerstone are here to serve you, work to satisfy your retirement goals, and communicate with respect. Call us right now at 888-747-3309. That's 888-747-3309. Or visit us online at cornerstoneassetmetals.com. That's cornerstoneassetmetals.com.